I'd like to
discussion.
call on
So this
the order, please.
They'll pay for
And I
that.
would
He's going
ask
to.
if you would stand.
Okay, I'm gonna sit here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tape on the cable station. Well, everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes. Were there any changes or errors noted?
I thought you did a great job.
I do also. May I have a motion?
I move the minutes be accepted.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We had a lengthy discussion last month on the implementation plan, and we were all asked to do our homework this month, so I hope everybody's come back with some thoughts and ideas. But in the meantime, before we go too far, Alma, would you be willing to just take a minute to make a little tribute to Dan, please?
Yeah, for those of you who weren't fortunate enough to work with Dan Pavolis when he was on the council or don't know him from church or wherever, he was a pretty special person, and he contributed a lot to the senior center over the years with his expertise on electrical issues and so on and so forth. He served on the council, he served as chairman. He was also the Bay Path representative back when we had Bay Path representatives when he first came on the board. He was an avid supporter of the senior center and all the things we did here, and we really appreciated that support on some of our darker days. He would always come in. Unfortunately, I was not able to be at the wake or the funeral, and I need to call Joan. But I know that he'll be watching over us and taking care of us and supporting us from afar now. So, I've already gotten, I know memorial gifts were to the senior center or the outreach at the church, I think, and I've got an envelope full of envelopes already, so I'll get at those in the next few days, but we certainly do appreciate everything that Dan did for us. He just turned 93 in August, I believe. So as another mutual friend of ours said, he had a good run, and I think he did, so anyway.
On a side note, on behalf of the council, I got a mass card from St. Luke's, so a mass will be sent in his honor next January, his first year anniversary.
Oh, nice, thank you. That's a good thing to do. Good, okay.
Okay.
And then can I just while I was out, Kristen and Stephanie and Mary Ellen kept this place running like clockwork. I'd get text messages from them or emails from them, and I'd answer, and Stephanie's like, "Will you stop? You're supposed to be resting." It's like, I promise you I'm laying in bed while I'm answering this email. But yeah, no, they did a great job. I did not anticipate being out as long as I was. But the doctor said, 10 days, and I took him at that, but it didn't quite work out that way. I had an allergic reaction to something. I woke up Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, I guess. My face was swollen, I was all blotchy, all the way down to my knees. It was lovely. So And my ex-husband very kindly went and got me Benadryl because I didn't have any. And he's around, so, yeah, so,
You sure it was Benadryl?
yeah, no, it was. It came in a sealed box. It was all good. Yeah, so we, but I just appreciate it. I know people popped in and, whatever when I was gone, and I know the girls appreciated that, and I appreciate that too, so.
We missed you.
Thanks. I know, I got a card and everything.
Yeah.
Very efficient group.
Yeah, the next time I leave, it'll be for a little bit longer when I get my knee done, but my son's working for a company right now that does some sort of a, I don't know, but I'd have to go into Boston, but they promise, the way it is, it's, you'd be up and around and back to your old self in a week or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but then you have to go to Boston and deal with all that. I don't know. So.
Believe me, I was up within a few hours.
Well, that's what I said, everybody gets up, they don't let you lay in bed anymore and do anything, so, whatever, anyway, so.
Yeah.
That's right, on behalf of the council, I sent her a get well.
She did, it came on a good day too, so.
Yeah.
And I've watched every episode of NCIS and Chicago Fire that's ever
yes.
been made. So, anyway.
Well, we are delighted to have you back, Eleanor, and thank you for speaking so kindly about Dan. He was quite a special guy. Okay. John, can I step? Yes, Shelby.
Is there open forum that said it on the agenda?
Yeah,
That's okay, if there is, I didn't know where you were planning on doing
no,
that.
go ahead, do it.
Okay, super, thank you so much. So I'm Shelby Marshall, one of your select board members. I just want to give this board an update. I had an opportunity, I was invited to speak to the Congregational Church, the men's breakfast group this past, yesterday, Sunday, time flies.
Saturday.
And, I'm sorry?
Saturday?
Saturday, it was Saturday, you're right, this church was Sunday. Thank you, he was there.
I was to say, I don't think anybody really knows what day it is anymore.
No, yeah, I know, it's like, yeah, and happy Valentine's.
Ebenezer's Parkman preached yesterday at the church.
Oh, well, yes, well, I was not quite as impressive as that sermon, I guess. But anyway, I was invited to speak. There ended up being probably about 30 people there. And I know they also Zoomed it. They did record it, which I will share with the town manager's office just for reference. But they really wanted me to come and talk about, and Sean Keogh, my fellow select board member, also attended, talk about the community center. So there were questions that were asked and myths that were maybe dispelled. But it was a really good conversation, and it was great to do it. We were there until, I think we started at 10 and ended at 11:30. So it was a good discussion. There were a couple other things that were discussed as well, but I just want to let the group know that conversation took place, and I think it was, there were a lot of really, really good questions they're asking. A couple of folks were here. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim, did you have anything to share at this time?
I know last month we talked about an update the building. We're still anticipating closing mid-March.
That's good news.
When is town meeting?
23rd.
16th or the 23rd?
The 23rd.
23rd.
Okay.
23rd. Oh.
Should have known that.
Okay. If everybody's ready, we'll start with the continuation of the discussion of the implementation. And John, would you like to address
Thank you.
that issue?
I have a handout that I'm gonna pass around. These are my thoughts, if you will.
Yep.
Thank you.
So as I put my thoughts together, I had a big question that came up in my mind as to whether or not it's too early at this point in time to delve into the implementation of the plan, because there's a lot of talk about it and a lot of ideas, but it's very hard to grasp and how to implement it. and we're having trouble with that phase of it. So some of the thoughts that were talked about with the senior center TV show that I thought was a great idea. The implementation plan sheet was put together by Guido and Bob is an excellent beginning point, and I think that should be our starting point. I think coffee with the council, it's pretty much out because of the reasons that Kim had explained to us, that it would be considered an open meeting if we have more than two, and therefore we have problems of open meetings. However, there's other areas that we talked about, the internet, the website, forums, houses of worship, and a number of other places. So one of the questions that came to mind was if we could have a TV program for the board members, and it wouldn't be a meeting, it would just be it'd be a round table with all the board members, and it wouldn't be a meeting here or anyplace else, but it would be on TV. And if we could do that, Kim, is that going to cut into the
There's a
meeting?
possibility it could. I think we'd have to think about how it's structured and be clear.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
well, I
say,
think
even if
there's
they
a
don't
way
vote
around
on
not getting-
anything, or
What's that?
even if they don't vote on anything, or do any business, it's just a matter of talking about whatever the topic of the day is?
Yes, I mean, the line for, it could be considered, I think we'd have to really think about it, because any deliberations, any discussion of the whole board, you're basically putting yourselves in a position where it could be viewed as deliberations. If you're talking about anything related to the senior center and any work within the purview of the council.
Well,
So
the
I think
co-
doing anything as a full board outside of a posted meeting, even if it's updates, could, perception and the opportunity for it to be challenged is there for sure.
Well, I think it would be good to know that, because if it's an opportunity for us, I think we ought to pursue it. If it's not, then we should know whether or not we can't do it.
As a suggestion, thank you for recognizing me, as a suggestion and maybe a way to kind of get into a TV show rhythm, I do a TV show once a week called the 01581 Let's Talk. If a member or members, could be two, you guys could rotate it, come up with your own schedule, wanted to be my guest on it for a full segment, which is about 20 minutes, or for a quick update, just, you know, this is a quick update from the Council on Aging, kind of do a 5-minute thing. Typically that spot is reserved for our town manager, but I rotate it through, you know, I primarily work with her but that would be, I think, a great way to kind of dip your toe into the TV world without having to kind of come up with your own show, your own guests, your own content. I open that up for your consideration. It's a weekly show, you could come on once a month and just give an update and see how that goes. So,
Good idea.
Oh, that's a great idea, thank you.
And we had also discussed the supporters too, being involved in that.
Yeah, I had asked if anybody wanted to do the TV that like Carol and Bill used to do.
Okay, and
All jumping up and down and say, yeah, no, there was, no.
The other thought is if you had multiple members of the council who wanted to be involved in something, you could potentially film different segments at different times with different members of the council and have it put together into one show. Not necessarily on a weekly basis, but if there was something you wanted to spotlight or just sort of an overview of programs and things that are happening, that's another way to get a potentially longer show produced with greater input.
Well, the focus, I think, was to try to get ideas from the elderly. And I think the plan that the town put together does a very good job on that. And so I'm not sure, I think there may be a means if we could do it. If we could, I was gonna mention you on the TV show, but I didn't wanna go that far.
no. Well, it just might be a way, and then, you know, you could get into a cadence where you feel like this is really something, you know, we wanna take on more in a broader scale, and like Kim said, you can, I mean, all the shows are pre-recorded, you know, so you can say, let's redo that or whatever, but you could come up with whatever content and as the implementation plan, if that's your primary focus. But it might be other things. It might be like, we want to let you know what's coming up in March, right? And these are the things the council's working on or that are happening at the senior center. So anyway.
So anyway, I saw some of the problem areas that we're trying to address, and one is getting the elders to attend open forum like here, which they're certainly welcome to come to. But we have very poor attendance on most meetings on open forum, so I don't know how that would work.
Excuse me, John, I've had some people say to me, oh, is it okay to attend a meeting here? And I said, yes,
Sure.
it's open. They don't realize that it's a public meeting.
Well, it's just like any other town meeting, but I mean, I don't know what kind of attendance, with the exception of selectmen's meetings, because I haven't been to other ones, but I don't know what kind of attendance other boards and committees had at their open forums either, so. Especially where you can watch them on TV, why, you know, so.
So those are the problem areas, and I think we've touched on most of them as we've heard comments. There are a number of areas that I think have not been discussed that I think we really ought to have a handle on. We talked about having a full board meeting on television, so I won't go into that. We're going to be opening in March, or starting to open in March of next year. And so one of the concerns that I have is the budget. How are we planning ahead? And should we have a 3-year budget plan for when we open? And that would include things like staffing. Are we going to need more staff? How much staff will we need? And I think we've never talked about the position of executive director. And Alma's been with us for 33 years, I believe.
40.
Maybe more.
40.
40.
Wow.
And certainly is very knowledgeable about every program here. But I think one of the issues that we need to look at is what are the plans of Alma? Is she going to continue to be on the board, be the executive director? And is there a need for people looking at the possibility of having maybe a co-director during the transition period? Because we're going to be getting into a new facility with new ideas, and new funds, and a whole lot of other things that are going to be extremely important. And I think to just wait until the day we move in and then have to address these issues is just going to be much too complicated. So I wonder if Alma has any ideas on what her plans might be.
This will be my last year here. Probably toward the end of the year.
Would you have any recommendations on how we go through the getting into the new building? One of my thoughts was perhaps it could be a co-executive director.
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that feels badly leaving at this juncture because of everything that's happening, but there's another part of me that realizes that I don't have the energy or the desire to get involved in all this again. I did it once, and it'll be 41 years, so that's a pretty good run. I think that, I think that what's gonna happen there, it all depends on what the town decides they want there. And, I'm here to help you as long as I'm here, but I think you'll certainly, you may have to hire a new director. I'm not sure how all that's gonna all work out, or a co-director, or whatever. I don't know how the town will figure out how to do that, but you have my gallons of wisdom in my brain at your disposal until such time as I'm back on 23 South Garden Street, so. But I think I realized too within the last 3 weeks that I don't wanna do this anymore. Like, I mean, I'll keep doing it till I'm gone, but I don't wanna be here for 5 more years while you get all this settled, so.
So one of the other recommendations that I had was whether or not we request the selectmen, who I think of hiring people for executive directors of the senior center, if I'm correct.
I thought the select board was the appointing authority.
Yeah,
They are.
I believe, I'm not 100%, but I believe we are either the appointing authority or concurrence with the town manager. I'm not sure.
Something like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't directly hire that person, like we do with fire, town manager, police.
So
And
my
I
thought
think the way it's
is,
written is that the town manager's office works with you all
Yeah.
to do that, so,
Probably,
yeah.
so my thought is that perhaps this should be, look at the issue by the town manager or whoever is part of this, because it's gonna be dropped on them very quickly when we get into the new building. I consider that to be a major issue.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
Okay.
Thank you.
What is the real timing for getting into the new building? It's not in early '25.
right, the build-out would ideally start in 2025.
Right.
The fit-up, I should say, fit-up
Right.
is the better way to say that. So depending upon what that is, will dictate, how long. So we really don't know that yet. Yeah.
When you say early 25, you mean fiscal 25,
No.
not calendar.
Calendar year,
Calendar.
25.
So
So,
the last, we're gonna, it's changed a little bit, but we had talked last fall that this town meeting, we would ask for money
No.
for the,
Okay.
not for the fit-up, for the architectural planning, and for the interior. And in the fall, come back and ask for the fit-up monies, so that they could start by the end of the calendar year, kind of.
So-
Or very, or
yeah, so the last town meeting, fall town meeting, you authorized spending of, I should know it offhand, I think it's 85,000, which includes hiring an architect consultant, someone with experience in this space to do a schematic design and hold community engagement sessions, in whatever form those take. That will, so Christie's office, the select board approved that format, the RFQ, and so that is going out. I don't know if it's going out this week or it's already gone out. So that will go out for solicitation, we'll get feedback, and then a firm will be chosen from that. And then the expectation would be that the engagement sessions would take place kind of spring now, 24-ish, and therefore design work, and be ready for fall town meeting to come with a, here's what the here's what the community said they want, and here's what the fit-up costs are going to be. So fall town meeting 2024. Best case scenario, if that goes through, we could start, working on the building, but I just think by the time you go out to bid and everything else, I think you're talking early 2025 calendar year for physical work being done on that first floor.
Which is consistent with the slide and the presentations that are
The
archived.
timeline,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's been the timeline, so with the anticipation that hopefully summer of '25.
some.
To answer
It's
John's-
6 months effort to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Answer John's question, I mean, I think-
Come up to me twice now to say they can't wait until March to start doing like the exercises on the second floor and pool on the third floor. And I said, I think that's not gonna be this March.
Yes.
It's,
So if we close on the building, we close on the real estate transaction in March, that's, as Kim mentioned earlier, that's what we're scheduled to do. Obviously, there's a cleanup process that the seller will do, and we need to make sure it's ready for the second floor to be used. once that second floor is ready to be used, and I certainly don't want to talk for the recreation department nor for Alma, but I think that there's an opportunity, because the pool is there, because that multi-purpose room is there, the gym is there, there's an opportunity for programming for the community, age independent. And so I know you offer certain programs here, maybe some of those stay here, maybe there's a new program that starts there, or one moves over just to get people to kind of, be familiar with the building. I think those conversations through, Alma and team and the town staff, will work themselves out. My personal view is the more we get people kind of going there and get comfortable with it, the better sort of ideas are gonna be, right? Because we're gonna be in that engagement phase, and people are gonna be like, oh yeah, I've been in the building and this is what I thought about it, and even though I'm not seeing although we will open the first floor for like, we'll walk through and all that, that will be part of the engagement process. So, but I don't think, it's not gonna be like March 1, March 13, I mean, we gotta close on the deal first, make sure the building is
Right.
nice and clean and ready.
And we
Well,
need
I'm sorry.
to work on having somebody, probably one of the council members, up there to make sure people get checked in and, it's a
You may have to look at a
So
second.
that's a potential staff add if you're running two different places.
Yeah, the only, one of the things that could simplify that is if we set up a whole other My Senior Center kiosk in that building. Because the program that the recreation department uses and the program we use are two separate things and they're not compatible. I've already talked to
Well,
Chris Hamilton at My Senior Center.
they're not directly compatible, but the recreation director is understanding there may be a workaround if it's not feasible to get a kiosk set up immediately for My Senior Center, there is an opportunity to track it using her system and to get that data back over to you. So we're not gonna lose track of who's there. We have a couple of different solutions. Those are conversations we've been having. We also anticipate, just to Shelby's point, it probably won't be the day we close, but the recreation director is actively identifying programming to begin in that space in early April. So we're not thinking it's later in the summer. She's been directed, be ready to go with programming as soon as you have the green light.
And to the question that was raised on staffing, just if I may, that is part of what is in the FY '25 budget. So for everyone's benefit, that starts July 2024. I always have to say it out loud to myself because I still, after all these years, forget.
Yeah, it's not hard.
It's a 6-month program coordinator through the rec department to manage programming on the second floor. There was discussion, I know, around having additional programming for the senior center, but that was put on hold until, to the point made, we're in the building, or we're planning on being in the building, we have that fit up and the engagement, and we have, the idea is to then say, okay, here's what we need for staffing. But I think that program coordinator on the second floor will definitely be involved in programming for seniors, if that makes sense. Even though it's not under, the senior center.
I mean, I just don't wanna see seniors with little kids running around.
No, that's not the-
That's not a good
No,
mix.
that is absolutely not the expectation. If there's a, water aerobics class for adults, it's for adults. Now, I don't know that, if I were an instructor, I'd say this class is geared toward people who are whatever, right? You might have different levels, so, but people self-select into their age groups, but you're not gonna have adults with, toddlers,
Right.
that kind of thing, or even teens.
Yes.
Unless it's a program like Conversations, right, which we have
Yeah,
now,
well,
that's different.
and they won't be doing that in the swimming pool, so.
Well, you never know.
So, with all of that having been said, and knowing all of the timelines of what's going to happen, I wonder if we're a bit too early in trying to start these discussions, and maybe wait until.
I agree.
So I would therefore move that we put off further discussion on the ideas that we need to talk about indefinitely until the board decides to raise them again, and we'll know more when the building is coming down the line.
We don't even know how the building is gonna be configured.
Right.
Yeah. And there are some, there are some new things that we're working to get going this spring and into the early summer. It's not like we're just not doing anything. And if all of the exercise classes go up to that other building in April, we have more room to do other things here, so.
Good point.
Yes, and Linda, just to clarify that a little bit, what we had talked about was moving some of the exercise programs that are now here that are very crowded and can't open up to any more people because it's just not the room. We're in the same room with, Rummy Cube and Meals on Wheels and all that kind of thing. So it would really solve a problem in giving more space and, as Shelby said, start having people become familiar with the new building, even though it's the second floor. It's still a community center. And I think that would, it would really get people to see the building and that there's opportunity. Okay, we don't have to be in a crowded room. We have space now, so.
Is there any possibility of running a duplicate in this building while that building is getting ready?
There are some other things we would consider doing here while some of those bigger classes go there.
Okay.
It would,
Yeah, free up your space.
opportunity for that kind of thing.
For sure.
Okay, now we do have a motion on the floor.
I did. I had a motion to suspend further discussion at the present time of this issue until the board brings it up again. So it would be an indefinite suspension.
On the entire implementation plan, is that what you mean?
Yes.
There's still things that we could be doing, like getting the engagement. Part of the engagement, the process, is to get input on the new plans, new programs or expanded programs that we'd like to have in the new building. It's a slightly different, maybe slant than the original need before there was a new building.
We're getting public input.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The public input part, for example. I don't, which goes along with your TV show. Well, a TV show is more giving status information, I guess. But we want to get input, right?
Right.
And that's something
That's the log jam.
we can still get, although I'm beginning to lean towards getting our engagement group process going and have, them facilitate that.
So I don't know
But
if, supposedly the recreation book gets sent to every house in town, and if you didn't look through it, there is I think it's almost like a half a page that came from the senior center, and it talked about volunteering. Mary Ellen's already got a couple phone calls. It talked about our Saturday respite program, which we're gonna try to build up so we can get our staff in place, and I forget what else. I saw it. They sent me a copy of it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Real
where
quick,
it
I
is.
suppose.
I don't think that it comes to places like where I live, the condo community that's not private homes. I live in a private home and I didn't get one.
It didn't
Right,
come to
I
where I
I haven't got one yet.
It arrived this,
I don't think just because you live in a private home makes a difference.
No, but we didn't get those where I live.
I just got it this weekend.
How do we,
So is that something?
This past
we can
weekend.
follow up on?
Weekend? Oh,
Yes,
maybe
yes.
it's there.
Friday or Saturday, I think.
It wasn't there when I picked up Saturday's mail on Sundays.
So
I
we
just got
can,
my mail before I
we
got
can
So-
find out,
I didn't was there? No.
we can find out how they determine their mailing list.
Where does it come from?
The recreation
Recreation
department.
I've been doing it for years. I get it twice a
Volunteer at
year.
the senior center, we're always looking for volunteers for Meals on Wheels and medical rides. Interesting parties should contact Mary Ellen. And then it says events and programs. This is a short list of what the senior center offers on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. For complete details and current offerings, please reach out to the senior center directly or visit the website. And then it talks about bagels with the select board, lunch is served on Fridays. The Westborough Senior Center presents an adult respite program. Saturday Sunshine is a monthly program offering socialization for Westborough seniors with memory loss and a few hours of respite for their caregiver. Please contact the center for more. And then exercise activities are offered on a weekly, monthly basis. Activities also include gentle yoga, Zumba Gold, strength and balance, rummy cube, Scrabble, shopping trips, bingo, and more. It's on page 20.
So we're all getting that?
I was told that it got sent to every house in town, so.
That's what I thought it
I
was.
got mine.
We got it.
Oh, the post office.
I didn't.
When did you get it?
Some the last few days.
I was gonna say, I think it only came out like at
Okay.
the end of
It
last
was
week.
either Friday or Saturday. then.
Okay, because I haven't seen it yet, so.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing it.
No.
So, wow.
All those in favor?
We still have the motion is on the
Yeah,
table.
Needs to
we're
be a
in
second.
motion.
There needs to be a
So-
second if there is one.
Are we
I can
still, are we still
Second.
suspending until,
But yeah, because
Whenever.
Marilyn just
but
seconded the
until
motion.
when? Until
Well,
fall?
indefinitely. I think I said until the board brings it up again. So,
Okay,
so the board would determine
until a
know-
future board meeting.
at a future board meeting. They determine the status of the new building, and if it's appropriate at that time to bring it back up, and then we can do it.
Okay,
We certainly have had a ton of information
yes.
presented, enough so that I've started a second notebook. Gives us more time to think, formulate, etc. So that would be my take. I'm not saying we're, and I don't think that's John's intent. We're not saying forget it, we're not
No,
moving. We're just
not at all.
saying we want it to be a smooth transition and with concern for the safety of everybody that goes into the building.
But I agree with Guido in one respect. I think the seniors have to be questioned about what they would like to see in the new facility. What kind, not necessarily a new facility, what else would they like to see for seniors?
Programs expanded.
Yeah.
The kind of stuff we
Yeah.
got from the survey, but updated to reflect the fact that we got a new building.
I think the implementing, I agree with John, it's too early to talk about the implementation. We don't even know what the building's gonna look like.
Yes.
We don't know how many rooms there's gonna be, what kind of programs you can have in each one. But I think we can solicit seniors to find out what they're looking for. What would entice them to come to the senior center?
We did that, not,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information out there, so it's not like we have to start from scratch, but I think that people, you know, now with the anticipation of the building and like a lot more space and all of that, I think people come up with some, we've already had a couple ideas. I'm trying to find an instructor right now, but I'm also budget limited at this point, so, but we'll get to it.
I have a question for
I really
Jim.
love the idea that
Is there any way
Sheldon
that
presented.
board members can get in to see the building now, or?
We're trying to arrange something, we're just sensitive to, we've had several requests from other boards and committees as well, so we're trying to figure out a time to do that, and with Boston's.
Just a walkthrough?
Yeah, and we'd have to break it up, so we're working on that, I don't have dates at this point.
I think that will be helpful.
If I may, can I just, one thing about the implementation plan, because at the time we were putting the plan together, some of us had knowledge that the building was in the works. The programming specific to the building is really a very small piece of what is in the implementation plan. There were so many other findings from the needs assessment that are separate from programming at that building. So I'd hate to lose sight of the many other things around information, resource, and there's just a host of other areas where I think there is a lot of work to be done. And that's, in my opinion, not work that we should sit and wait on. We are getting inquiries, and I say we, I hear this through my office, people in the community wanting to know what's going on with the senior needs assessment and specific to the implementation. So understanding, getting too far into the weeds on what's gonna be in that building until we have some more information may make sense. I think there's a lot of other areas where there's opportunity to dig in.
Yeah, I just wanted to, bring that up as well. I mean, and Bill and Bob, you were part of that. There's a lot more to the implementation plan than what are we doing in the physical building. It has to do with, affordable housing. There's just a lot of other needs of seniors that, how do we stay in our homes and try to do something about taxes. I mean, there's a lot of other issues that this implementation plan does address. And maybe we should divide up this motion, as Kim said, we can put off the details of the building, because you're right. That's a whole different thing. We need some help in figuring out how the building is going to be used properly. But there are other areas of the implementation plan that we could start looking at. So it would be a different cut at the priority maybe. Some of the things that were lower priority may now come up to be higher priority.
I think that maybe it would be a good idea for, to maybe invite John Steinberg to come, because the committee that you've been working on, I know they're still kind of working. And there are some things that are,
Haven't had a meeting since the last 4 years.
well, everything got kicked out of whack there
Not
for
that I
a
haven't
while.
asked about it.
So that people understand what is available. I mean, I think a lot of what happens with the issue of tax assistance in town is that people don't know what's already available to them. And John usually comes once a year when it gets to be that time and talks to groups about, I mean, there's all sorts of exemptions and there's programs and deferrals and whatever, but people don't know about them. And as much as we try to get information out there, people aren't always listening, so. And maybe too, we get Ed Bain and the affordable housing people back to find out what they maybe need us to help them advocate for. Like what's coming up with them that we maybe need to be stronger voices in the community for, to help them
Yeah.
out, so.
May I, please?
Yes.
With that, I think it might be wise for me to withdraw my motion and just leave things as they are. Let the committee try and continue to work on the implementation plan, except for the portion of the building, and bring it up as a motion at a later date,
Okay.
if
So you're moving to
necessary.
withdraw your motion.
I do.
So I think when a motion is withdrawn, you don't even have to mention it, right?
No, you don't vote on it. I wouldn't vote on it.
Not according to Robert's rules.
You're right.
So you have withdrawn
Yes.
your motion. Do we need a second for that?
No.
No,
No,
it's
we're
being
not.
withdrawn, so we don't have to mention it now.
Clean slate.
We discussed it, or we?
Turn the clock back 10 minutes.
Right. Turn the tape, where's the tape? Okay.
I'm
so
glad you
John-
had time to read Robert's Rules of Order during his spare time.
I just happened to peruse a few of them recently, and that's stuck in my brain, and you gave me an opportunity to use it.
So you never know what you know until you
I
need to know it.
It's frightening what's in there.
Sometimes Robert's brother Bob helps us out at these situations in church, on different boards and committees. We play by Bob's rules. Okay,
Okay, so,
Linda? I still have my hand up. Paul? I just, on the whole thing with programming and so forth, there was a committee formed, do you remember, a couple meetings ago? And myself, and I think it was Kathy, that was going to be represented. And Jen Kirkland from the Recreation Department was pulling that together. Well, one meeting has occurred, and I'd just like to at least give some feedback on that, because we're talking about programming and so forth. And she actually called it the programming meeting, so
Okay.
programming or what at this point, I'm not sure, no. So what I just want to say is that we did get together, and represented was the Recreation Department, Jen and Josh, one of the, he's the,
Yep, he works over.
Program
Yeah.
coordinator. Yep.
and then there were 2 people from the library, and then there was 2 people from the office staff here, Kristen and Mary Ellen, and myself. And the meeting was held at the town hall, and we talked about more, I think at this point in the infancy of this particular committee was that, what did each group do, and what programs are there, and are we overlapping, and so it was really more, this particular meeting for me was more of an introduction and an understanding of what everybody else does. But I think the intent going forward is to then develop programs or get ideas for programs, so that's all gonna feed into this kind of a thing. So I don't wanna be redundant in what we're doing. That is taking place, and Jen is gonna schedule further meetings. I'm not sure if it's gonna be once a month or whatever, but I just wanted to let you know that that was happening. And that although we didn't get a whole lot done, I think it was more the introduction, comfort what each group does. And I think some of that information that is in that recreation came from that day. Because Mary Ellen asked about volunteer help, and I think, you know, some of the things, maybe not all of them, but many of them, when I just heard them, I said, oh yeah, we talked about that. So we're learning what each group does to be able to work together. So I just want to let you know that that is what's happening
And
from.
will you continue to bring back information to the
Certainly,
council?
yeah.
I was gonna ask that. Oh, okay.
There was,
Hi, Shelby.
hi, there was some questions about, or comments about, like, we need to provide input to what's gonna happen in the building, absolutely. So, the community engagement that's gonna take place will engage the whole town, as many people as want to participate. I think it's, important that this board be cheerleaders, if you will, to getting people to participate, to go to those sessions, to, you know, write their ideas, to submit them online, whatever different formats, and it is an expectation that there will be different ways in which people can, you know, provide their ideas, but that will take place. So this, I don't see the council needing to do, you know, that detailed work. We're paying someone, the taxpayers, we've already voted to pay someone to do that. The council will need to get people to participate and engage in that process. And then from that, then the ideas come out and all the staffing questions and programming and all, and the, the fit up and all of that. But I don't wanna say you could probably effectively kind of put that off to the side, but I think you can. And I would recommend looking at what are there, I mean, Paula, it looks like you've taken the lead on your, you know, the programming part, you and Kathy, that's great. Are there other low-hanging fruits there that you guys could divide up to start to go after, whether it's a TV show or whatever? You know what I mean, that don't involve the community center? Because it's kind of overwhelming when you just kind of look at it on paper and, like, you know, it's like, you can kind of spin around it a number of times, but if you divide it up in pieces as priorities of this council and then get the word out, it starts to become more manageable, so. My 10 cents.
Actually, there's one question I'd like to ask. It keeps coming up that a lot of people don't have computer access. It comes up all the time. So I'd like to ask somehow those people that do not have computer access, how they receive other town information. How do they know what's going on? What are they looking at to find out?
Yeah, that's been discussed
I
at
know.
lots of meetings.
But you have to ask people that don't have the computers, where do you get your information?
I think there are 2 sources. One is the television with Westborough Cable
Westborough
News,
TV,
and the other is the community newspaper.
Community Advocate.
And what's the other group in town? The one, what's the other group in town?
Westborough Connects.
Yeah, Westborough Connects.
But how do they get it?
Yeah, but
They don't have a
that's
publication.
online.
It's all
But that's
online.
online.
That newsletter comes in an email.
Yeah,
Yeah, Westborough Connect's online though. So basically, you're down at Community Advocate.
And our seniors.
And
You had
TV.
the senior scene too.
Yeah, see.
I mean,
And our-
Same as-
right, that's great printed material. How many locations do you drop it off, Alma? 20-something, 30?
Yeah, probably closer to 40,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's a great tool you already have. Could it be used in a way that also provides updates other than just programming, right? I mean, is there content that you could infuse there that?
Well, it's not just, I mean, there's
I don't mean
a lot of
programming.
other stuff that goes in there besides just what's going on here. I mean, we've had, you know, we used to get a regular monthly little piece from Sustainable Westborough, and that kind of fell apart during COVID. We've added things, I mean, the American Legion meets here, of course, fuel assistance, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. You know, some of the other community things that go on here also goes in there if there's space, so, I mean, reminders about town meeting and voting and all that good stuff, so.
Alma, are you limited to the number of pages? Can you add more?
So we
Another
could
page.
add more pages. The problem with that is it's gonna increase postage. Right now, we put a regular first-class stamp on that, but by adding, and it wouldn't just be one page, it would be 4 pages. So, I mean, 4 sides of, you know, so, and that's gonna bump the postage up.
Could you make some of the ads smaller?
No, that's what pays for this thing, so I have no,
I'm sorry to
I have
ask,
no
second
control over over the size of the ads, but, yeah, it's, I've seen a couple newsletters that are 16 pages, is it 16 pages or 14 pages? I
I've seen
forget.
20.
20, you know, they're big.
Yep.
I've also been told at another senior center site that they will only mail within their town. They will not mail like our senior scene to other towns.
Well, it doesn't cost any more to mail it to Grafton than it would to mail it to,
But that,
you know, Blossom Court. I mean, it's the same stamp, I don't get that, but.
but that's just their policy. It might be to save. I don't know, but
I mean, I know we have a lot of the subscriptions through the town's website. I know there's people's kids who live in Indiana who get it sent to them so they know what's going on, so they can say, Mom, why don't you go to whatever? I know that we send out about 200 copies every month. We mail out about 200 copies. They pay for their subscription. Most of them are to seniors in town. We do send quite a few out of town, but the majority of them are in town. And I know for a fact that some of them are also people's kids, probably for the same reason, who live, you know, out in the western part of the state or in the city, so that they can say, you know, well, there's nothing to do. Mom, you play Rummikub, why don't you go up there? I mean, so there's that part of it.
So you send out 200, and there are 1,600 seniors in town?
Well, yeah, except for the fact that they are in all the churches, they're in all the housing complexes, Beach Street, Mayberry, Rogers Road, Del Webb, Highlands, Willows. Orchard Hill, Walker Meadow, I mean, they all go to all those places too, so.
I think, I don't know if that's what you're doing there, but if it's only the postage cost for this extra 200 out of the 1,000 or whatever that we print out, it seems well worth to get the extra 3 or 4 pages, that 4, you know, pages or more, to get the extra information in every month. There's a lot of additional information, explanatory information, some, you know, some of the events that we have here and had for years, some people look at it and say, what's that? They have no clue what it is because you don't have the room to feature the description of it. So there's existing information that we could be printing there
We've
more
also
every
talked,
month as
in my
well.
meetings with Christy, we've also talked about maybe 4 times a year mailing it to everybody in town, like that book, which would probably be like September, January, June, July, summer one, and maybe one in the fall. So, that's on the,
It seems
I mean,
like-
the other conversation we've had is, do you look at doing something that's not just monthly? So if you were making it longer, had more information, if people wanted to look at programming that was gonna run through the fall, it might cost more to mail, but you're only mailing
Right.
once
The percentage,
versus
right.
3 months.
Makes sense.
So,
So it doesn't cost any more to add pages because there's ads involved, is that correct?
oh, well, if
That
we
you
added
understand?
pages, there'd be more ads.
Okay.
It would-
But does it cost us more?
No, it doesn't cost
Okay.
us anything.
Okay.
And it would just be postage if we mailed them, but
Was there a contract limit to the number of pages?
there were when we started, but we can add,
We can
we can
add,
add to that, yeah.
it's just a negotiation with them.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it needs to.
Yeah.
I know in a town near here, I was looking up the various towns when I was going to the program meeting, and I wanted to see what each town did that boarded us as far as that. And one of them I found, every month, it describes all of the exercise
Yeah.
programs, all of the continuous programs. It gives a description, when it's held, and so forth. So that adds pages, of course, to the, but I think it could be very helpful, especially
Well, we're,
conversations that we've had about not knowing maybe what something is just when you're looking at the calendar. You know,
Yeah.
might not,
Well, I mean, there's a couple things that, they were on the calendar, but they really can't take any more people in the class because there's enough. I mean, I don't know how else to describe that, but, and I try, every couple months to put in something about, the Zumba class or the chair yoga class or Rummy Cube is still, or Scrabble is another one they're playing now. So, I try to add that, but there's so many other things that go on here, it's kind of hard to stick other things. I mean, I wrote February and I just saw a copy of it today and it's pretty full of stuff, so.
I don't want you to think in any way that we're criticizing.
Oh, no,
what
I
we've done, but,
about that. I'm just saying that, we're limited by space, and for the time being, that's one of the reasons why we'd have to increase the amount of money that people are paying. Of course, we might have to do that anyway because stamps just went up again, but right now it's 160 whatever cent, 68, is it 68 cents? Stamp that mails, and it's gone. But if it gets any heavier, it's gonna cost more.
The other reason for adding to this is the advocate decides what's gonna go in. And
Oh.
sometimes it's very hard to get things in there.
I've had that discussion with them on a couple occasions.
Doesn't do any good.
I've tried to be the girl my mother raised, but sometimes I get a little aggravated, but yeah. Well, it's online. Well, yeah, except for the fact that a lot of seniors
People
don't have
can't get it
online,
online.
so, yeah.
I don't think that particular issue is a good resource, because it's very limited in what they put in for Westborough.
And they have a lot more ads in there too lately, I've noticed.
Yes.
But it's, that's how they make their money,
The
because
board.
they send, yeah, so, yeah, it's, I don't know, it's interesting where people get information or not these days, so.
I have a
When
question of Shelby. Shelby, when is that
Yes.
meeting going to be, when they have all the people come in to give their ideas?
So that is not, so the vendor has to be chosen, and,
Is there a target date?
no, so those sessions would be this spring, and they will be well publicized, certainly here and beyond.
And there will be multiple
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah, good.
So, John, thank you. I thank Guido and Bob for all the work that they are doing, have done, and I think we're all on board with you. You have our support. We are all here to advocate for our senior citizens. And if there is no other discussion on this issue, I'd like to move along now to new business with the minibus and fuel assistance.
I don't know what happened. Did you see Jim today, Kim? Did you talk to him? And I thought I was gonna have an update for you, but I don't at this point.
On the floors, oh no, the minibus.
Oh, no, the floors are, that's being taken care of either this coming weekend or next weekend. That'll be done.
Excellent.
So I do not have an update about the minibus.
Well, that's what we discussed almost. So the minibus was put in the capital plan, which was part of our budget that was produced on December 21st. And because the funding source for the minibus is not contingent upon a vote at town meeting, we told them, like, you can move forward with the purchase. At the time that we were looking at vehicles, we were considering fuel efficient, I think both, I don't think the minibuses come in hybrids, but they do have electric models, and then they have the gas models. So we were looking at both of those. The town has a fuel efficient vehicle policy, and under that policy, we need to now just go back to the capital planning committee and just inform them that in evaluating the electric versus the gas, the recommendation to us from our facilities director is to stick with the gas model for now. He's identified some issues and concerns related to the electric version of the vehicle. So we would need to just get back in front of the capital committee to advise them of that. We had a similar situation last year with DPW and the police department. Theirs were more related to even being able to acquire hybrids or electric vehicles, so they understood.
When's that next meeting, Kenny?
It hasn't been scheduled.
Oh, it's not. Like in February though, would it be
It'll be February and maybe March. It'll be before town meeting. The capital committee usually comes back together before town meeting for several updates.
So, yep. Fuel assistance, so I thought last year was a mess, this year's worse. Oh, it's been horrible. Allegedly, there were recertification packets that were sent out in September maybe, and supposedly, or early October, supposedly they lost half of them or something. I don't know where they went to, but anyway. So we've been trying to track down all of these extra recertification papers. The comment we got from Smock was, we'll just start over again. Well, there's almost 150, 160 people, families in Westborough that have fuel assistance. I don't have time to do 160 more applications. So we've managed to get that situation set up. Then we had one of our seniors, his son took him down to Smock to find out what had happened with his application, because he had sent his recertification papers in 3 months prior to that, and he had heard nothing from them. And he got to the office, there was one person in the office. And that person told him that they had gotten a new computer system and nobody knew how to use it, except they were advocating for people like us to do the applications online. Well, if you don't know how to use the computer, I'm not doing it online. You're gonna get a piece of paper from me, because that way at least I know you got it. There is a letter being sent to them from the directors in the 13 towns. That will also be sent to our state and federal Congress people and state legislators. We've talked about maybe getting a letter from the council. I'll know more about that going forward. This is just not, I mean, people had to buy oil, it's gotten cold, tomorrow we're gonna get a foot of snow, I mean, and people are scared about where am I gonna get the $800 to pay for that tank of gas, so, it's just been, and I mean, I've sent, I could retire if I had a nickel for every email I've sent down there. Phone calls don't get answered. I mean, I don't, they said, well, we have staffing problems. It's like, yeah, well, there's nobody there, so why? And I've been looking through, not because I'm looking for another job, but just because I don't see in any of the usual places that people are advertising for jobs, I don't see that SMOC is advertising for office help or whatever, so I'm not sure what they're doing. This has been such a frustrating year and I feel so badly. I mean, I'm glad in one sense that it's been a relatively warm winter so far. Saturday it was 62 at my house and I had my windows open just to change the air, but like I said, tomorrow night it's supposed to be a hard freeze and they're just not doing, one of the directors was told that, well, we have over 5,000 applications. Like, well, you have 5,000 to 7,000 applications every year. This isn't something new. So we're trying to address this. Senator Moore will be here, not next week, but the following week. I'm going to talk to him again. I'm also going to get in touch with Kate Donahue and Hannah to see if there's any kind of pressure that and the other directors are doing the same thing with their reps and senators. Some of the money's federal, some of it's state. So I mean, and I'll call Jim McGovern's office if I need to, because this is ridiculous. So I feel badly. I get the whole staffing thing. Everybody's faced with that, but this is, to have somebody on your staff admit that we have a new computer system, but nobody knows how to use it. Like, how long did they think that was gonna be a secret? So.
And it's been over a year, that's the.
Oh, yeah, I mean, last year was awful. This year is just beyond, it's horrendous. I have never, and I did fuel assistance applications for 3 or 4 years before I even came here when I worked for home care. So I've been doing this for a very long time. Supposedly they hired a consultant who was helping them with getting things back on track, but they announced that back in December. So we haven't seen anything being tracked just yet. So I may call on you to make some phone calls or write a letter or send an email to our state legislators, because this is crazy.
Is this a state agency?
It is a state agency, but like I said, some of their money comes from the state and some of it's federal.
Shelby, did you have?
Yeah, so as liaison, from the board to this board, if you would be so kind as to send me an email. We have our select board meeting tomorrow night. We provide updates to issues and correspondence, or through updates to the board for issues and correspondence. If you want to give me an update on this, maybe you've already communicated this through Kim to Christie, but I think that by raising the attention, the board, I can't speak for the other 4 members, but may be inclined to send a letter from our board to our representatives on this matter.
Okay, I can do that.
I just want to speak, I want to know what I'm speaking about as opposed to different
Yeah,
applications.
this all kind of came to a head while I was out.
Yeah.
And I was kind of keeping up with emails and, but the frustration level is just, and you feel bad because when you tell these people.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
ridiculous.
and-
We also talked about having the council
Write a letter.
draft,
Yeah.
something come from the council, which you would need to vote on.
Right.
And then to reach out through, Alma can do it through her association and share that with surrounding communities and other affected communities to also do the same. Similar to the board.
Yeah, I agree with you,
do
and
that
I
with
think
a lot of
the council
multiple
writing,
levels.
yeah, sorry, Kim. I think the council writing its own letter, yes, I'm just saying, we have a select board meeting tomorrow night, if I get that before 5
All
o'clock,
right,
I'm happy to read out on it, so you have my email, but.
Okay. And I'll backtrack with Pam and Trish and see what's happening on that end with the rest of it. I didn't get through all the emails today, so. Yeah, so that's,
Thank you.
yeah, I just, and I feel bad because we're doing the applications and sending them, but I don't know where they're going to once they get there. I mean, I called and asked for applications and oh yeah, we're sending them to you. Well, they told me that about 4 times, and finally Joe Sabati was actually in my office one day, and he lives down in Framingham. He goes, Alma, where are they? I'll go pick them up for you before I come to work. So he went down to the SMOC office and said, I need applications for Westborough, and brought me a stack of them back, because otherwise I still wouldn't have them, so, yeah. Our police liaison officer came through that day, but I have never seen, and it's not like there's not money out there either, there's money, it's just not being spent, so.
The question, you say if we want to send a letter, we have to vote on it, or what, since we don't have the letter in front of us now, can we vote on anything here to get Alma to draft the
Well, you
letter
could.
for us?
Yeah, you
Rather
could
than
do
wait
that.
another month for
It's your
the,
comfort level with not seeing anything and just authorizing the director to draft a letter on behalf of the council requesting more immediate action,
So
whatever.
I write good letters, so.
so I propose that we authorize Alma to write this letter on our behalf.
I suppose.
Second.
May I have just a show of hands? Is everybody in favor of that?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Okay.
Is that a motion? Do you need a second?
That's a motion.
I second it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you need a vote.
We did.
We just did
We had
that.
the vote before the second.
Motion passed.
What does Robert say about that?
Well, that was Bob's rule on that one, so, yeah.
Okay, moving forward, town meeting budget discussion.
Well, it's not that exciting, so, the budget's been presented, basically it's level funded. There were some positions that are gonna be taken out of the formula grant, including 1 day a week for a nurse.
It's taken out.
Well, it's coming from the formula grant, not, it
Funded
won't
by.
come out of the town, the budget.
It's another source.
It is. We did get there is a little extra money in events and activities and a couple other things, but it's hard to keep in that 2%, so. But I think we'll be okay for another year. It will change when we move into the new building, because there's just no way it can't, so. Town meeting is the 23rd. That's a week later than it usually is,
No.
isn't it?
No, since it was changed several years ago, right?
Yeah, it's the way I think it's the way the calendar.
Is that,
falls.
yeah,
It feels
because it's
later.
usually like St. Patrick's
St.
Day
Patrick's
weekend,
Day.
yeah. That's why I wasn't sure, so. All right, that's okay, because now I can go to the Blackstone Valley Home Show on the 16th, since I don't have to be
Yes,
at
Saturday the 20th.
town meeting,
98.
so.
What's the date of town?
March 23rd.
March 23rd, it's a Saturday
We
night.
have some upcoming programs.
We do have some upcoming
Oh,
things.
awesome.
We have canceled Fat Tuesday breakfast for tomorrow, because I guess by 9 o'clock it's supposed to be snowing really hard tomorrow, so I don't want anybody coming out for free pancakes, because it's just not, no, it's not. So please stay home tomorrow if you didn't get a phone call. The other thing that we are doing, Kristen and Mary Ellen and Stephanie called everybody on the list, but we also told them that we'll be sending out a robocall through the My Senior Center tomorrow as an experiment. But we wanted to make sure everybody knew.
I got it already, the
Did you?
robocall. Yeah.
Okay, good. We wanted to make sure everybody knew they were gonna get this phone call, so they didn't go, what is, like, but, okay, so
It's from
it
the-
went out, it did work?
It's from Belmont, though, that was the
Well,
thing that
that's what we,
surprised me,
yeah, that's what we figured, so we had to, but anyway, so now we know how to work that system. They know how to work that system.
It started with a B. I got a call before I left, and I said, I don't know it, so don't answer it.
Right.
It says the breakfast tomorrow's been canceled, so, yeah. But we'll still be doing sweets and treats on Ash Wednesday, on Valentine's Day. If you wanna come in and get a treat for Valentine's Day. The Memory Cafe is gonna be in Thursday. The AARP people have started with taxes. We do still have appointments if anybody needs to have their taxes done. Simple taxes, not millions of dollars of whatever. Soup for the Soul's coming up. Bagels with the Board of Selectmen is next Tuesday morning. And Shelby, do you know who's coming?
I don't offhand, I can see if I can find it, I don't. It's not me.
Well, I know that I got a schedule, but I don't know if they stuck with the same.
There are other choices.
I know, I don't know if they stuck with the same schedule rotation as they did the first time, so.
I'll try to see if I can find out.
No, it's okay. Soup for the Soul is on the 22nd. And then on the 27th in the afternoon, Christy and Amber Bach are going to be here to talk about the budget stuff that's coming up. And they'll be here to answer your questions. So if you want to hear right from the horse's mouth what's going on with the budget, the school budget, the town budget, they'll both be here that day.
What time?
What time?
1 o'clock. 1 o'clock,
And what was the date?
the 27th.
27. Right on that.
It's right on there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Read your newsletter, it's right in there. Our St. Patrick's Day party is scheduled for the 14th. And on Tuesday, March 19th, which is the first day of spring, we're gonna have some surprises here with the students from the Mill Pond School.
Surprise.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
that-
excited about that one.
Is that the one right?
No, it's up on the end of West Main Street.
Oh,
Yep. And then just, you missed pancakes, the 25th of March is National Waffle Day, so we'll be doing something after too. And hopefully, there will be no more snow by then.
right.
I've received a lot of applications for the property tax work program. I've also gotten a lot of jobs from the departments, which I'm really happy because I won't have to go looking for jobs to fill the spots. I'm pretty sure at this point that I'll be able to fill all of them.
Can,
And what?
can we get through the work program a new secretary? Yes. I think there are
Maybe
people
somebody-
sitting around this table
Yeah.
that would be very
Well,
happy.
the thing is though, I can't have you work here in this building if you're on the Council on Aging, so that's part of it.
But
If somebody on the 60 in that work program, there
I'll-
may be somebody in there that could fill in,
I'll see what I can do.
because they're already being paid, and it'll give us time to find someone.
Okay, okay.
Now, the hiring, can you put the announcement out, or does it have to come from?
For what? Oh, for hiring a new secretary?
Yes.
That's gonna come from the selectman's office, select board's office.
at the last meeting, we discussed the possibility of sharing, finding that someone that
Right,
was
we're-
already doing something similar.
Because we have other openings, so
Yeah,
we're
anything
posting.
along those lines yet?
No, we're just about to post for another position, so our hope is, it's challenging to fill the really part-time positions, but we had talked about the possibility of looking to use a senior tax work-off person. I think there's
That's good, too.
value, since you use them for other things here, somebody who has some sense of what's going on here and is otherwise involved, there's, could be some benefit to them
Yep.
also taking minutes. So-
Mm. Yes.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that, but yeah, that's a good idea.
We're always
Sure.
thinking,
I also, Alma, while you were out, I made a comment about holding our meetings at the fire station for the time being, because it has great parking.
We have better parking.
True.
That,
We have more parking spots, yes.
poor Kathy, that I just saw this, I'm cold.
I am cold.
You know what? In all honesty, I have never been in a building, in a hotel, in a conference room or whatever, that's had the problems with this noise. I've never been able to understand it. And all the consultants and people they've had come in here and look at this, they've never been able to. My office this morning, I couldn't hear anything this morning, so. That's why I'll try to keep our meetings even shorter so that we're not sitting in here and getting colder, but.
You know?
Question about staffing. I heard from Wayne that he's having some procedure next month and he'll be off for 3 or 4 days, I forget. But it includes the day that our next meeting is going to be at. And the person who backs him up is on vacation that week. So he was wondering
And
if
I'm
there's-
hoping to have our tax work person that was in here last year here by then.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Going back to the robocalls, I'm looking at our list here. My cell phone is not listed, and I couldn't be reached yesterday, and I got a police wellness
I know, I
call.
heard that this morning.
So are these cell phones?
No, those are mostly home phone numbers. I didn't put cell phone numbers because those are your personal cell phones, and I didn't know if you wanted to like get
Oh.
calls on your
That's my
personal.
only phone.
Well, if that was the case, but like I said, I know sometimes, it's your personal phone and you don't really want people calling you when you're having dinner with your
Does this
grandchildren.
just go internally though?
It is internal, but it's a public document, so
Oh.
that's why I did it that way, so.
Okay. I
Alma,
just-
if you're on a no-call list, we get those calls.
Should.
If there's a senior out here who wants to talk to you, they're gonna find you one way or another, so.
The no-call list is for advertising.
Yeah, that's for advertising, like trying to sell you windows and.
I'm on the no-call list, I still got the
It
call.
doesn't work. It doesn't work. I get a bunch of robocalls.
It's
every day.
amazing, and just being home these 3
That's why
weeks,
I
how
don't
many
have
times the phone would ring and I'd look at the numbers like, I
all I
don't
got
know
on.
anybody in Montana, like, why would I answer the phone?
And then they ghost your home phone number. but
Every
it's not-
time one
it's
comes
not
in, I
you.
block it.
It's
I mean,
all
if this is the number that's in the phone book,
Yeah.
that's the number that's on that sheet, because,
What phone?
What phone book?
I know, well, that's why I put it in quotations, because there is a rise
Come
in
on,
phone. There is
Kate.
one.
I called you twice on that number and it rang, 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 rang.
That's because she's talking to somebody.
Oh, okay, so
I had-
that's
I have
me.
no idea how to.
You click over.
I know, my mother doesn't either. Yeah, I've had that same problem with her a few times. so.
But I will say, this morning, I did get a robocall on my cell, or whatever you call them,
Yeah,
on my cell phone.
that must have been the number that, I don't know, like I said, Stephanie and Kristen did that, I didn't.
Good
But
Lord.
now at least we know we can do that.
Awesome.
Like last Friday, one of the classes got canceled because the instructor had a funeral to go to. And they had to call, I think that's what probably precipitated this, having to call everybody that was in the class.
And then there was a couple of weeks ago, there was a class canceled and people showed up for it because it wasn't in time to get in touch with.
Yeah, well, we do the best we can.
I know.
Exactly,
I
do
know.
the best you
But I mean, that
can.
would be great.
Yeah, I mean, it was
One
great that
call.
every weather person in the greater Boston area was telling us since last Friday that we were gonna get clobbered, so that was easy enough to do this morning, so.
And that makes me think of Much Ado About Nothing. That's,
Well,
I'm interested to see what we get.
yeah, I don't think this is a nothing one, I think we're gonna, I think this,
real snow.
yeah, I think so too. So,
Be prepared.
it's not the snow I mind, it's the frigid cold afterwards I'm not a fan of, so.
Are there any other issues to come before the board at this time?
I got clarification from the recreation director, the brochure gets mailed to every residence in Westborough.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's probably still,
Just
Well, I
not
go
all
to
at
the post
same
office
time.
when I'm in here, because it's easy to take a right turn out of here, so I always go to the post office. So maybe it's in my box.
I got my mail just before I came here.
Thank you, Kim.
I mean, that kind of bulk mail, there's no impetus to get it there the next day.
Right.
No.
And we did find out, I'm not sure how they found out, that the newsletters came and it took 4 days to get it from the day we mailed it till the day it got in people's, it took 4 days to get mailed from Westborough to Westborough.
You notice though, there was no address labels, and yet I got it. So I think they just put it in every mailbox.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I'm
Without
personally
any,
retired,
this
so
is
maybe that's
postage.
what happened.
Right.
It's paid postage, but there's no address label. So it's a bulk mail for in town where I guess they just throw it in every box.
That's a lot of fire trucks.
More
We
details
missed a
for you.
few along the way.
You know, I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
Well, I think
I'm gonna give, I'll give Jen a call and see if she's got a few of them that we can have up here in case you didn't get one.
I did get one for thinking I was away for a few days and then I came back. Here's
Move we adjourn.
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.